Listen to your raw mix. Right now, it probably sounds a little thin, but when you compare it to a commercial release, that professional track surges into a dense, highly pressurized wall of sound. Achieving this shift in density does not require a studio full of analog gear. It is the result of a systematic application of a single native tool, Maximus. Step 1. Setting up the workspace. Keep FL Studio open, load your unmastered mix, and open the mixer window. Before you add anything, check your master fader. Your foundational mix cannot be hitting the red. If it's clipping right now, the mastering chain will only amplify that distortion. While the composition is the foundation, a track that lacks competitive dynamic volume remains functionally invisible on modern streaming platforms. To begin the process, go to an empty effects slot on your master channel and load Maximus. This interface is built around 4 specific tabs at the bottom. You have dedicated controls for your low, mid, and high frequencies, plus a master tab that affects the summed signal. This setup is a multi-band compressor. It mathematically splits your audio into separate bands, so you can compress your low end, your vocals, and your high-frequency percussion entirely independently. When you hit play, you can observe the real-time flow of audio energy. This analyzer shows the track splitting into 3 distinct frequency zones. As the track runs, the display tracks the exact dynamic peaks of the signal at any given microsecond. Mapping the audio mathematically provides the specific data points needed to apply surgical, intentional enhancements to your signal. Let's start the isolation process. Click through the low, mid, and high tabs sequentially to begin adjusting each band. This graph is your compression envelope. The horizontal axis is input. The vertical axis is output. Drag the upper right portion of the curve downward to reduce the loudest spikes. Watch the waveform physically flatten out wherever it strikes this new, lowered boundary. By reducing these highest spikes, you create the necessary headroom to increase the volume of the rest of the track later. Be careful not to pull the curve down too aggressively. Overcompressing destroys the song's natural dynamic range and makes the audio feel static. To guarantee your adjustments remain subtle, rely on the visual gain reduction meters on the right of the interface. Effective dynamic control manages the relationship between the peak and average levels. You are restricting the loudest anomalies so they don't trigger the master limiter too aggressively. Now that the individual frequencies are controlled, shift your focus to the overarching master band tab. The pre-gain knob acts as the engine for this stage. It drives the summed signal into the master compressor. This graph illustrates the ceiling. It is a mathematical limit placed on the master envelope that physically prevents any audio from crossing the 0 dB threshold. As you increase the post gain, you push the overall perceived volume of the track up against this unbreakable ceiling. For a final touch, add a 1 to 3% increase on the saturation knob. This adds a microscopic amount of harmonic distortion, which provides a sense of analog warmth to the digital signal. Verify your final safeguard by checking the primary FL Studio master meter. The signal should peak just below 0 dB and remain green. By pushing the signal into the master ceiling without digital clipping, the track achieves the standardized playback volume required for modern digital distribution. To hear the difference, bypass the Maximus plugin while the track is playing to return to the raw mix. To accurately judge the dynamic improvements, you must volume match the before and after states. This prevents your brain from choosing the mastered version simply because it is louder. When you turn the plugin back on, you can hear the sudden, cohesive density of the finished master. Mastering is a systematic application of physics used to prepare a raw recording for consistent playback across different sound systems. Now that your dynamics are controlled, you can move to the final phase, configuring your export settings for specific platforms like Spotify and Apple Music.